Shalom, God's people. The Nazarite vow. The word Nazarite comes from Greek word Nazir, which means consecrated or separated. To vow means to promise to do something or a specific thing throughout your life or within specific period of time. Different people get different instruction from the Lord, and sometimes different people decide to do something different from others, which means those who never promised God to do such a thing are not sinning or they have no problem. But if those who had promised God to do such a thing and they don't do, that's a sin to them. God can give instruction to a pastor to put on a suit while preaching to certain individuals. An intercessor, maybe a lady intercessor, can be told by God to cover her hair while interceding. Those are specific instructions to such individuals. These instructions cannot be doctrinated, they cannot be canonized. Church cannot use such instructions as a base of making laws to those churches. When you make a vow to the Lord, for example, you tell Lord that my first salary I'll give you, that's a vow. Those who have not promised God, they'll not give. That's for them, there's no problem. But for you, if you don't give already, you have broken the vow. Some of these vows are not Nazarite vows, they're just normal vows. A lady, maybe a woman, can be told by God, please leave this church and go to another church. Those are instructions to that specific lady. It doesn't give license to all women or all ladies from that church leaving that church and go to those or a specific church which God did not say so. We need to understand that some vows we do it ourselves, but sometimes we were born with vows, like Samson. Samson was given such vows while he was in his mother's womb. We need to understand a little bit about Nazarite vow. We are going to read the book of Numbers, chapter 6, verse 1 to 6. And it is written, the Lord said to Moses, speak to the Israelites and say to them, if a man or woman wants to make a special vow, a vow of dedication to the Lord as a Nazarite, they must abstain from wine and other fermented drink and must not drink vinegar made from wine or other fermented drink. They must not drink grape juice or eat grapes or raisins. As long as they remain under the Nazarite vow, they must not eat anything that comes from grapevine, not even the seeds or skins. During the entire period of the Nazarite vow, no razor shall be used on their head. They must be holy until the period of their dedication to the Lord is over. They must let their hair grow long. Throughout the period of their dedication to the Lord, the Nazarite must not go near dead bodies. So they must not go near dead bodies. But for those who have not, they have no such Nazarite vow, they have no problem. So if you took such a Nazarite vow, even if it's your closest relative who has died, you can't go near their bodies. These are specific instructions. But Lord sometimes understand we usually fall. So when somebody breaks this Nazarite vow, when you read the same book of Numbers chapter 6, when you read the whole chapter, we realize that there are specific offerings God usually like or had ordered Moses to tell the people, the Nazarites, how they shall be rededicated to the Lord. They needed to give a male lamb as a guilt offering, a ewe, female lamb, as a sin offering, ram as a fellowship offering. They used to give drink offering. They used to give grain offering, and also an offering of bread and leavened bread made of olive oil. So these are specific instructions. From there, on the seventh day, they needed to shave the hair. Remember, they were not supposed to to shave their hair. So they needed to shave their hair. Then the priest rededicates them. Samson, remember Samson was born as a Nazarite. He killed a lion. There's a famous story of Samson. He killed a lion using his hands. Later, he went back and found the carcass of the lion. There was swarm of bees and there was honey inside. Samson was not supposed to touch carcass. He was not supposed to go near carcass. But when he realized there's honey, and remember, honey is sweet. He realized there's honey. He took the honey, ate the honey, and he gave his parents. Unfortunately, he never told his parents. So in the book of Judges, chapter 14, verse 8 to 9, it says, sometime later, when he went back to marry her, that is at Timnah, that is the wife, he turned aside to look at the lion's carcass, and in it he saw a swarm of bees and some honey. He scooped out the honey with his hands and ate as he went along. When he rejoined his parents, he gave them some, and they ate too. But he did not tell them that he had taken the honey from the lion's carcass. So the Bible is like the writer of the Bible, he was expecting Samson to tell his parents, because if he had told his parents that this honey is from a carcass, of course the parents could have refused to eat the honey. Could have told Samson, please do not take this honey because this honey is defiled, is from a carcass. But Samson never told them. Remember, his mother in the book of Judges was told not to take wine or anything defiled when Samson was in his mother's womb. There were possibilities. Maybe if Samson could not have defiled himself, or even after he has defiled himself, if he was rededicated back to God after offerings, after shaving his hair, maybe the spirit of Delilah could not have been strong to him. Because sometimes we think Delilah was a very intelligent woman, but no. Maybe it's because Samson never rededicated himself. He never told his parents that the honey came from carcass. Sweet things sometimes comes from defiled carcass. And unfortunately, wine from a carcass and wine from maybe cave or from beehive taste the same. Sometimes you can't know. Sometimes we as Christians, we make vows. And these vows sometimes we don't tell our spiritual leaders, our spiritual mothers, our spiritual fathers. So sometimes a pastor, a priest, or a bishop doesn't understand there are sins which are going behind the scenes. People are sinning iniquities behind the scenes, they are not aware. But if they were aware, there are some congregants maybe did some vows to God, it is easy for them to rededicate back to God. Maybe you vow to the Lord, maybe I'll not drink alcohol, I'll never be glutton, I'll not smoke, I'll do special offerings, I'll never abort, I'll never do this or that, or maybe I'll be fasting twice a week. Those are vows some individuals make. And sometimes you break these vows, you don't repent. Your pastor, your priest, your bishop, he knows maybe everything's okay, but there are sins which cannot be seen. If Samson could have collected his senses and told his parents, for sure he could have been rededicated. No problem, okay, people fall. But after we fall, we need to go back, to rise back. As it is written in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 8, verse 4, which says, say to them, this is what the Lord says, when people fall, do they not get up? When someone turns away, do they not return? So even if we make these vows and we break them, God expects us to return. The vows we take, we give to the Lord, sometimes limits us not to do something. We see our colleagues enjoying, maybe going to rave, going to nightclubs, watching pornography, watching horror movies, watching specific programs in television. And maybe you see when you see those programs, maybe they will defile you. But you see others watching, they're enjoying. But if you vote to God, please try to maintain it. Because there is a reason why sometimes God stops us to do something. Maybe if you are a lady and God knows very well He created you so that you are going to intercede in Saudi Arabia, you are going to intercede in Iraq, in Yemen, in Afghanistan, in those Arab countries. And one day God tells you, please, my daughter, cover your hair. Put on long dresses. Don't put on trousers. These instructions are just for you, not for others. Don't start complaining to God. Why not my friend? Why not my sister? Why not other intercessors? Maybe the Lord knows very well when you continue with that dress code, you will not be accepted to where you are going. Maybe in Yemen, in Saudi Arabia, they cannot accept women intercessors who don't cover their hair. So sometimes it's not because of you, it is because of them. So God knows. Don't groan too much. Don't groan too much. If you're a pastor, you have seen other pastors have been told by God to put on suit, ties, and maybe you have not gotten such instructions, or God knows very well you are going to intercede for teenagers, maybe some young guys below 40 years, below 30 years, over 20 years. They know very well sometimes dress code matters to these people. He can give you specific instructions on your dress code. These things cannot be canonized, cannot be put as a law of the church. It is specific instruction just to you. Because God knows very well when you put a specific dress code, maybe those youth people, those young guys will accept you. And if you're going to preach to older men at the village, sometimes God can also tell you how to dress. Or maybe He can tell you when you go to a certain place, use vernacular. Don't use English, maybe. So these are specific instructions. God knows how He created you. Because in the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 2, verse 20, He speaks about the vessels. God knows how He created His vessels. He says, in a large house, there are articles not only of gold and silver, but also of wood and clay. Some are for special purposes and some are for common use. Some are for special purposes and some are for common use. A vessel cannot complain. Why am I made of clay and the other vessel is made of iron? Try to imagine you have two pots, one made of iron and one made of clay. All of them are on fire. It is easy for a person, an individual, to touch the vessel or the pot made of clay than the one made of iron while both are on fire, even if it is boiling. They know very well clay cannot easily burn you, but touch the iron lest you be burned. The same applies to us. God created us differently. So don't complain so much, don't groan so much, because sometimes you don't understand. Jesus was never told by God to wear camel skin, but John the Baptist was told to wear camel skin. The food of John the Baptist was honey from the wilderness and locusts. Jesus was eating. Even people are complaining Jesus was glutton. John the Baptist was not eating as much as Jesus. So these are the things we need to understand. God has specific instructions for specific people, but some of these instructions cannot be canonized. And if you don't have the revelation from the Lord, you might start blaming these people who have specific information, who have specific instructions. Start blaming them. Sometimes you need understanding from the Lord. You need the revelation. If you judge them, you will also be judged. Also, the book of Romans chapter 9 verse 21, it talks of same clay, different vessels, some for common use, some for special purposes. So maybe you are a person made for special purposes. Don't complain. If God tells you don't do this while others are doing, please do not complain. You are a vessel of special purpose. Be blessed, my loved ones. You are free to download this video. You are free to share with anyone else whom you think it's benefit to them. Shalom.